Hello everyone, it's Gavin Bai here. Today we are going to be uncovering the story of Among the Sleep. Here we go. Among the Sleep is a game about you playing as a 2-year-old child going on an adventure with a teddy bear. Well, you go around multiple worlds trying to find these things called memories and get back to the real world. The game was released back in 2016 and I think was updated in 2019 for the enhanced edition, where it ups the graphics and changes some things about the game, and also where it gives the museum level and the prologue. I will have to warn everyone watching that this video will contain spoilers for the game, but honestly I shouldn't really have to tell you because, well, it's a story explained. That should be expected, honestly. So, yeah, this game has a really well put together story, and it's really nostalgic to make a video about this game in 2024. Holy shit. The game begins with us playing as the 2-year-old toddler drinking something from the cup, where it looks like we're on a drug overdose. Jesus Christ. The toddler drops the cup and the mom tells him to be careful, it might break, even though it pretty much already sounds like it did.
Careful, it might break.
The mother of the 2-year-old toddler tells him to hold on because she is making him a cake for his birthday. That's cute.
Let's see. There and there. Perfect. Oh, look at you. You're so adorable in your tiny footed pajamas. Happy birthday, sweetie. Wow, 2 years today.
The mother of the 2-year-old toddler cuts off a piece of the cake with a spoon. How in the hell does she do that? And yeah, it's just a cute sequence of her feeding the toddler some cake that she gradually puts some icing onto the spoon, and she gets interrupted by a knock at the door.
Oops. I think I know a little someone who's ready for some cake. Chugga 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 choo choo. Here it comes. Through the tunnel, choo-choo. I'll be right back.
As she walks away, there's a sequence of her walk cycle where even her hips move, but I'm pretty sure they just added that for the fan service. As she gets to the door, we can slightly hear her talk to someone and saying, "What are you doing here?"
What are you doing? No!
The mother of the 2-year-old toddler comes back in the dining room with a present for the little birthday boy. The mother then carries the toddler to his room, and when they're about to open up the present, she is disturbed again, this time by a phone call.
Okay, sweetie. Be a dear and play for a bit. Mommy will be right back.
The mother of the child leaves, and the child just does exactly what she says. He plays around in his little playpen and just, crawls around. Although he plays a little bit too much and almost damn near cracks his cranium open by falling out of the crib, but thankfully there was a pillow. It's like almost as if the mother knew he was going to do that. The toddler is determined to figure out what is in the present box, and he climbs up on his drawer, and only just to find out there's nothing there. The toddler then hears laughing coming from the toy bin, and then when he goes to look, we get greeted by our fluffy companion of the game, gradually named Teddy.
My name is Teddy. Nice to meet you. Hey, what's your name? Not much of a talker yet, eh?
Teddy and the toddler play for a little bit in the room until Teddy all of a sudden asks the toddler to go in the closet with him. Please, for the love of God, no one quote that.
Hey, pick me up and carry me on your back. I want to show you something. We need someplace very dark. How about your closet? It has to be darker. Shut the doors completely.
As the toddler completely goes inside the closet, it then warps into a long and scary dark corridor. Greatly enough, as Teddy is such a helpful companion for the toddler throughout this game, he also acts as a light source. And the toddler then just walks through this corridor and then gets back to the normal closet door where he is greeted by Mrs. Thickums, aka his mother.
Oh, are you playing with your new friend?
Hello, Mr. Bear. Nice to meet you. How are you today?
You've got to stop hiding from Mommy. I hope you had a good birthday, hon. Mommy would be very sad if you didn't.
The mother then puts the 2-year-old toddler to bed, and in the middle of the night, things seem to get intense. We're then woken up in the middle of the night by a strange noise, and the door seems to open up by itself, and Teddy seems to be dragged away by an invisible entity. While all this happens to get way worse when the crib starts to move by itself, making the child fall with it too. Oh, God. As we think it can't get any way worse, the light then cuts off, making us walk around in the dark without our only light source being Teddy himself. The child then walks out of his room and then in the hallway finds a nearby stepping stool to then reach the doorknob that goes more into the hallway. As the child walks more into the hallway, he then finds the laundry room where he's able to hear Teddy screaming inside of it while also presumably drowning. With the child being confused on mostly what's going on and with him being too short to press the button on the washing machine, he then just pulls the plug to then power it off. He then opens up the washing machine door and then Teddy is just soaked in water while presumably gagging for air because most likely, like I already said, he was drowning in there. As Teddy is retrieved by the toddler from the washing machine, he then gives the task to try and find the mother of the toddler and says something, quote, is not right.
Thank you. Something's not right. We need to find your mother.
With Teddy being retrieved from the washing machine and now is on a journey to find her mother, he tells us to be very quiet. And like I already said, we can now use him as our friendly, lovely, glowing light stick. As the child walks around, he sees visions of a monster known as Harold. And yeah, as the duo both eventually make it to the mother's room, the child pulls back the blanket only to see that she's nowhere to be seen. And we hear something coming to the mother's room, so both the child and Teddy hide in the mother's bed. We see that nothing appears in the doorway, but there is a bunch of black liquid leading towards the living room. Holy shit. As we make it towards the living room, Harold emerges and scares the child, making him scream. We walk out of the living room only to see that the basement door is open. As the child opens the basement door, he sees his mother in the distance. Teddy attempts to call out to her, but she doesn't seem to notice the child or Teddy at all and doesn't even respond. And she is just standing still.
It's her. Hey! Hello?
Look at Mommy's necklace. Can you see our reflection? It's you and me. It used to belong to your grandma.
With the child being very confused of the situation, so is Teddy. The child takes the mother's pendant, and then she disappears. With Child and Teddy still being confused, and especially having the mother's pendant, especially with the mother not being around anywhere, the toddler and Teddy see a slide in the basement. With the child still being confused, like I already said, I don't know why I'm repeating myself, he has no other choice but to slide down the slide.
Are you alright?
The duo finds themselves in a different world that is completely different from the world they were just in. Up ahead is a playhouse, and with Teddy and the child being very confused, they approach it.
Is it locked? I might be able to open it from the inside if you help me up.
The child helps Teddy up through the broken window of the playhouse, and he opens it from the inside, like he already established.
Whoa, look at this place. Listen. There it is again. It sounds like it's coming from behind this door. There must be a way to open it. It seems like these are connected somehow. Maybe it requires some sort of key. Is there anything we can use?
With Teddy and the child both trying to open the door, the child uses the mother's pendant and then closes the door to the damn thing and then turns a valve. When the child puts the pendant inside of the machine, it then goes into a glass shell. Teddy tries to open the door by hitting a button, but it doesn't work. And then Teddy makes out the fact that both the child and him needs to press the button. So they both do that, and then the door opens.
Maybe we have to press both at the same time. That's it. It seems like the memory you shared with her unlocked the door. Maybe if we can find more memories like this, it might bring us to her. It looks like we need 3 more.
The child picks up Teddy and then puts him on his back, and they both go on a weird-ass adventure. The place that they make it to this time seems to look like a cave. Teddy asks where they are at, and of course the damn child doesn't answer because he doesn't know how to speak. They seem to walk forward, and the cave seems to transition into a playground. And when they go more forward, they collect an owl statue, and then they run into one of those things that spin around. I completely forgot what one of these things are. As they go ahead more, they see that the next memory is in this playground area, so they try and get it. The area seems abandoned but yet calming. A calming orange sky seems to be accompanying it. The child finds another owl and puts it on its nest. The nest is on the other side of a measuring thing. And I'm going to keep calling it a measuring thing because I don't know what it's called. When a child puts 2 of the owls on the measuring thing, it slightly goes up. Basically, the task here is that you need to find all of the owls and put them in the nest so that the measuring thing would stay up so that you can climb on top of the platform. The toddler finds a shed and finds another owl. As he grabs the owl, the owl, he gets trapped inside of the shed, and there's a lot of weird noises going on. The door opens and the outside looks way darker than it used to. Now it looks dangerous and really threatening. Kind of. Well, it's in the dark, so you have to expect that. The child sees that the playground with a slide and presumably a swing is open, and when he goes inside of the area with the slide, he walks ahead. During all of this, the child falls in a hole with Teddy, and they both get trapped inside of the trap.
Ah, we're trapped! This place creeps me out. I hope your mother is okay.
While the Teddy and the child are in the trap, the toddler finds another owl. They both get out of the trap eventually and find themselves out of it to find more owls. Damn. As the 2-year-old toddler finds another owl, his vision goes blurry, kind of similar to when the mom was arguing with someone at the door. There are footsteps being made, well, just appearing, looking like it's an invisible entity just walking around, leading him to something. As all the owls are found, the measuring thing gets to stay up, and the child can now climb the tower. As they get to the next memory, it appears that the mother is telling the child to go back to bed after she plays the lullaby one more time from the music box. They collect the music box memory, or whatever the hell I want to call it now, and they eventually make it to another slide and get back to the playhouse.
We made it back.
The child puts the memory of the music box inside of the memory disposer, which I'm going to call it now, and then he closes it, winds it up, and it goes inside of the core. The duo both hit the button again to go to another world. Jesus Christ. The child and Teddy make it to another world, otherwise known as the forest at home. They both eventually find themselves in a room that has a puzzle in it. Like an actual puzzle, not like some complex shit. The child finds a puzzle piece behind a painting that has multiple puzzle pieces, which is probably most likely a hint to what you have to do. Mr. Toddler Child Baby Man puts the puzzle piece inside of the puzzle, and then it clears up the branches, leading him towards a painting. As the child approaches the painting, he pulls some Super Mario 64 bullshit and then goes through it somehow. As the blue-shirted toddler boy goes through the painting, he somehow warps into a forest. Yeah, because he somehow got that through the painting. Not like I've seen that before. We also have to make sure we are careful in this forest and not to fall in the water, or else we'll get eaten by presumably the creature stalking us. Little toddler boy finds the next puzzle piece, eventually makes his way to the other place, puts the puzzle piece inside of the puzzle, and then the other routes clear up. And then he goes through another painting like some Super Mario 64 bullshit. As the toddler crawls through the painting, it looks more like an abandoned house. This level is called the Forest at Home after all, so that would be expected to see a house or even like a shed or something. The toddler goes underneath the bed and finds a vent shaft to crawl through. The vent shaft leads to another area underneath another bed, where some boots fall from nothing, presumably. The child grabs the chair, crawls up, and then opens the door, since honestly his little body can't even reach that damn knob. As he goes up the door while turning the knob without eating no corn on the cob, he approaches a nearby window with a stool. As he climbs the stool to look out the window, he is greeted by an unworldly sight. Something is wandering the forest at home. As the figure walks away, the toddler also opens up another doorknob to go out another door. The room that the door leads to a room that has a hole underneath the bed, which leads to the outside where that damn thing was at. As they finally get on the other side of the hole in the ground, they find themselves outside exactly where that damn creature was. The child approaches the door, but the door is locked. And it seems like the key for the door is actually inside of a well that they actually need to wind up so that it can come up and so they can get the key. I barely even know what I just said, but I tried to make it make sense. Oh, and I also forgot to say, they also got another puzzle piece, so that's nice. The child climbs up on a literal wooden chair, and so that he can get to the level of the door, and then he inserts the key inside of the lock. The door opens, and the child walks across a bridge that leads more into this weird-ass looking forest. As the child walks around the forest, he finds a cabin-like looking place and removes the boards that are not even on the door. The child grabs a box to climb onto a barrel to then get another nearby key for another door. As the child grabs the key, an event plays where Haida the swamp monster walks across the cabin but seems to just go into the water. The toddler and Teddy are completely aware Haida the swamp monster is surrounding the forest, so they need to make sure to be completely careful so that they don't die an unpleasant death. The child eventually finds the door that is required for the green key, and he crosses the bridge to get to the other window. Right here, an event is supposed to play where Haida is supposed to chase after the child while he crosses the bridge, but there's a glitch where it just doesn't happen. The child and Teddy eventually find the area where they came from, and they put the puzzle piece inside of the puzzle. The branches clear up for one last time, and they have to go through one last area to get the memory. They climb through the painting, and this time it doesn't really seem much of a forest, but it does seem like a library. As they walk around the library, they see the memory in a room that leads towards it. As the child goes straight ahead in this room, he removes the chair covering the vent enterer thingy. My grammar, man. The child goes through the vent opening, and then he collects the next memory.
Oh, come on! I'm thirsty, said the rabbit. The rabbit cried and cried. She cried so much that her tears filled the bottom of the well.
The child grabs the book out of the memory of the mother, and the mother disappears, and then they go down the slide to then insert the memory. Again.
We're back. What was that? That thing? She seemed so sad and desperate. Hey, it's going to be so nice when we're through with all this, and we can play together all the time.
Thanks for that, Teddy. Anyway, the child puts the memory inside of the memory disposer, and then it goes inside of the core when he winds up the valve. Teddy and the child both press the button for one last time, and I'm saying the one last time because something bad happens in this level. You'll see. The child and Teddy both enter in the last level, otherwise known as the closet. It's pretty ironic, too, because while Teddy was teaching us about the game, we were in a closet level, so I guess we're ending with the closet level. Huh. While Teddy and the child are in the closet level, they both keep on hearing a strange banging sound. It seems like a platform is banging onto another vent shaft that they need to open themselves so that the platform can actually extend so that they can cross it. The child climbs into a box, climbs onto a bed, and then walks on a giant clock, and then climbs on to a shelf. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about anymore. As the child walks forward, he gets a flash of a coat down the hall. The child turns a corner and he finds another area that he needs to crawl towards. Yeah. The child finds a door in this room and he walks around, and this room seems to have a lot of coats. kind of similar to the coat that we saw down the hall earlier. The child then eventually finds a crawl space with that leads to a room with a door that requires some type of moon-like key. The child then finds a door that has a cupboard with miniature-sized balls. I already know someone's going to take that out of context in some time. The child grabs one of the miniature-sized balls and throws it at a bottle on a shelf, making it crack and break, and it also lets him obtain the moon key. But he also has his vision get blurry again by a monster walking across the room and seeing it through the cracks of the room. And then he grabs the moon key and then puts it in the moon door, and then he can just be on his way. As Mr. Toddler Child Baby Boy goes inside of the room that the moon door was blocking, he sees another room that needs a key that is star-shaped. This door is also blocking the room with the last memory, so he needs to find the star-shaped key. The banging sound is heard once more, and this time the child needs to climb on a shelf, go to the other side where the sound is coming from, so that the damn platform can clear out, so that he can go on the other way, whatever, man. The child opens up a door, which leads to another door. The other door leads him to another room, which looks like the kitchen that was in the house. The child eventually climbs onto the counter and then throws a peach at another bottle that has the star-shaped key in it. The child's vision goes blurry again, and at this part, you're supposed to hear the mother ask him, is he in the kitchen? But for some reason, it doesn't, play in, at least not in this gameplay footage. And I forgot who it belongs to, really. When the child walks out, it seems like the thing that he walked on to get to this point is not there anymore, and now he needs to climb onto another box and onto another bed, but this time not another clock. We open another door, and it seems like a piece of photos on the ground, presumably the child's dad. Okay. We also see some scribbling on the wall, which is showing some symbolism, which I'll get into later, because right now I'm explaining the gameplay. The child opens the 100th door in a goddamn row, and then he opens another door. This time when the child opens this door, a stack of crates and a bottle falls into the floor, making the bottle crack and alerting the monster of this level called Heap. Heap eventually disappears, and basically the task of this is that you need to walk down this huge and long corridor while you make sure not to make any bottles crack. If the bottles crack and make a sound, Heap will then be teleported into the corridor and then will either kill you or you'll have to hide in one of the doors. As the toddler eventually finds the end of the corridor, he finds another door. Yeah, now I'm talking about corridors and doors. That's great. He falls down onto a board that is somehow being kept strung up with strings or ropes. Yeah, he keeps on crawling onto the boards and then eventually makes it to the bottom and then puts the star-shaped key in the star door.
Are my favorite animal. They have big ears and a long trunk. You're my
The child and Teddy climb onto a shelf and a board and then grabs the final memory, which is a pink elephant. That definitely has some symbolism to it. They open the final door and they see the slide. As the toddler and Teddy both approach the slide, the child tries to slide down but then is dragged and pulled away from the slide by Heap himself and is about to fall down a hole. While this is happening, he's trying to grab onto Teddy while Teddy is being grabbed on by Heap too and is ripped away from the child's hands. Quite literally, might I add, and the child just falls down with his arm while Heap just walks away with the rest of them. Surprisingly enough, this literal 2-year-old toddler somehow survived that how many ever feet drop and is surrounded by stuffing coming from the sky while he's in a void with Teddy's severed arm. The light that's surrounding the child goes off, but then he sees another light which he approaches. As the toddler approaches the light, he also sees another light light up in the darkness, and he hears his mother say the words, "Not now." A third light lights up, but this time he can actually see his mom in the distance, trying to walk away from him. Another light lights up, and he can see his mom drinking either beer or wine and transforming into Haida, the swamp monster. And the bottle falls onto the floor and then cracks. The toddler goes onto another light, and then it goes off when he approaches it, but then it comes back on seeing Heap approach him. During this, the mother is trying to get the child to be quiet because she apparently had a very rough day. The mother tells the child to please go somewhere else and she'll just have probably one more drink of beer or wine. And then we hear her yell at the child saying that he will not take you from me. And then the light comes on again, seeing the mother loom over him, telling the child, while she tells the child to be nice and do what she says, or else she's going to be very angry, and that none of them want that. This time another light comes on, and the child approaches it like he's supposed to. When we approach the light, it turns off, and then we see the windows of the playhouse light up in the distance, while the mother screams at the child that she will find him. The child then approaches the playhouse without his little fluffy companion that he has as a gift. Teddy is dead, and there's nothing we can really do about it. Sadly, instead of putting Teddy's arm in the memory disposer, we have to put the elephant in the memory disposer, and then we wind it up and then it goes inside of the core. Sadly, this time we don't have Teddy to push the button himself, so what we need to do is use his severed arm to then press the button, and then we press the button too. The door opens, and then we take Teddy's arm with us to the outside of the final door. This time it isn't a slide. This time when we open the door, we are met with a flashing light. We came out of our closet. There are toys all over the place, and it sure as hell wasn't like that before we went in there. It's a sunny day, it's daytime, and the sun is up. So we go to find our mother. When we make it downstairs in the living room, the curtains are completely over the window, as if we are trying to stop people from looking in on what's going on. When we go in the kitchen, we can see the mother having a beer in her hand with a ripped Teddy in her other. When we go to grab Teddy out of her arm, she slaps the child and tells him to stay away from her. And then she starts to cry and say that she didn't mean to, and he never listens.
Stay away from me! I'm sorry. I never meant to. It's too much.
Real quick, I just want to add that before we actually go and see who's at the door, you're actually able to pat your mom's head even after she slaps you, so that's nice. We hear a knock at the door, and we don't really see who's at the door, but the door just opens by itself somehow. And while, like I said, we don't see who's at the door, we hear a familiar voice sounding almost like it's Teddy, but it's not.
Did you like your gift? What happened to his arm? Don't worry. We'll fix him up.
The prologue chapter is just a bonus chapter that the developer decided to give with the update to give more insight into the story. We seem to be met with a flashing light, and it also seems like we're in the middle of nowhere. We see a whole bunch of stuffed animals in a circle doing something with the music box. When we approach them, the circle disappears, and they seem to get stuck in what seems to be ice spikes or something. I didn't say ice spikes, I said ice spikes. We wake up from what seemed to have just been a dream. The child in the prologue isn't 2 in this. He's probably either 0 or 1, but most likely 1. The The child climbs out of his crib, and it seems like his room is being filled with snow because the window's open. We see a stuffed animal owl tell us that he's very cold and he needs warmth. So the child climbs onto the stepping stool, he climbs onto the table, and then he closes the window to give at least a little bit of warmth or to just melt the snow. When the child presses the music box, which is next to the table that the owl is under, it gives the owl warmth and also seems to actually lighten up the room and gives the room light because somehow that just makes sense. The owl will tell us that all the rest of the stuffed animals are hiding and all scared, which you can just see on the screen, honestly, and tells us to please help them. This is happening in real time. The child climbs his drawer and then turns the knob without eating no corn on the cob. I'm gonna stop making that joke because it doesn't make sense. The toddler goes out and about trying to find a lot of other stuffed animals. And while he actually walks around, he sees visions of the mother. Not really much of the father, really. The child closes both windows in the kitchen by climbing on the counter, and then he climbs onto another counter and then plays a boombox, and then it melts both of the ice spikes and the snow, and then he grabs the stuffed animal fox. When we go in the living room, we see Haida in the living room, but she just disappears, so she's really a vision. Thankfully enough, we see a stuffed girl. I'm not gonna call her a stuffed animal because she sure as hell isn't one. The child closes the window and then he plays a VHS on the TV. Thankfully there's no analog horror and we can just see a nice cartoon of a beaver. The ice melts and we get to grab the cherry son of a bitch. We get to grab her. Yay. Thankfully, EDP isn't the one with it. The child finds the door to the basement, and then when he goes in the basement, something terrifying happens. Oh, Jesus.
Help me.
I know y'all didn't really see it, but, when the room goes dark in the basement, that furnace at the end of the hall will come alive, jump itself across the room, and then consume the child. So you have to make sure to turn the lights on when they go out. The toddler climbs the shelf and carefully puts the stuff on the ground. Carefully. He then closes the window and the ice on the floor melts, but he still needs to get to that other room that is across from this one. So he grabs a stepping stool that was below the window, and then, hold on. He then puts the stepping stool in the other room that is across from the other one. He puts it underneath a table, he climbs the table, and then he plays another boombox and then grabs this pink bear, which sadly is in brown. We collect the pink bear, and I don't know where the child puts these, all these stuffed animals, but I'm assuming he puts them in his pocket or they're just all on his back. Now that we got all the colored folk and the stuffed animals, we can now go inside of this room that is upstairs with the baby gate actually being open. The baby gate doesn't open until you get all the stuffed animals, so you have to make sure you do that. And when we go inside of this one room that is open, that is upstairs, you can go inside of this room. When the child goes inside of this other room that is in the bedroom, a shelf falls in front of him, and he has no choice but to go inside of the other room that is in this room. Rooms inside rooms, that's what we're dealing with now. And then this room actually has another stuffed animal. It's a stuffed bunny. When we eventually make it to the other side, though, the stuffed bunny gets sucked out of the window before we can even pick him up. And then the ice melts when we close the window, and then we go inside of this vent. More vent crawling. What are we, Springtrap? While we go in this vent, though, we see another vision of the dad hitting the mom. Oh no. As we go downstairs and head towards the front door, we can see multiple visions of the mother packing her stuff, almost as if she's moving. huh. The child goes outside, but doesn't see the bunny, but does see the bunny's bow that they had before they got sucked out the window. As the baby walks through the cold weather in his pajamas, he attempts to grab the bunny. Before he can even lay his hand on him, the mother, with her wedding ring, that she doesn't have in the main game, mind you, grabs the child. And as she seems very hesitant and sad, she grabs the child, carries him, and then walks away with him, away from the house. We can see that the stuffed bunny still tries to make an attempt to get us to bring him with us, but he just falls in the snow and face plants. Now it's time to get to the main focus of the video, explaining the story. Instead of showing gameplay though, since I'm too lazy to, I'm just going to show this distorted version of my face. So basically the story starts with the prologue. The child and the mother move away from the father's house because the mother was... because the father was abusive to the mother, and that's why the mother takes the child away from the house. The mother, mind you, is no better. She is also abusive to the child as well. In the prologue, she is seen having her wedding ring when she grabs the child, but in the normal game, she doesn't have it, because she is not with the father anymore. Eventually, the child's birthday comes, and that's when he turns 2 years old. While the mother is feeding the child the cake, she goes to answer the door because someone knocks on it. The person who knocked on the door was the father. The father was coming to see the child for his birthday, but the mother did not let him in because, like I already said, he was abusive, but really she's no better, honestly. And that's where Teddy comes in. Teddy was a gift from the father, but the mother tried to make it seem as if it was a gift from her. Teddy was a gift from the father, which is why Teddy and the father sound alike. I don't really think it's because of it's the same voice actor, and even if it is, that's a good thing, because really it's the father's bear that he wanted to give to the child. And since it's the father's bear, the bear sounds like the father because it reminded the child of the father because it's his bear. Teddy doesn't really talk. In fact, everything in the game is in the child's imagination. The only thing that really is real is the house. Teddy doesn't talk, and in the whole game, it really just takes place in the child's room. But it's just the child's imagination that distorts it and make it seem more weird and scary. The monsters that are in the game, though, are not really weird, are not really real, but kind of. You see, Haida, in her idle animation, it looks like she's taking a drink. This is because it's supposed to be seen. This is what the child in his imagination makes out his mother to be when she's drinking, and she really only attacks him when he gets in the way. The closet monster, otherwise known as Heap, is kind of unexplainable. I don't know if Heap is supposed to be the representation of either the father or the mother, or probably a combination of both. But I'm gonna say the father because when he appears, you're able to hear a deep voice and not a high-pitched one that you would hear from a woman. So, I think it's safe to say that's the father. I would say that the father attacks the child because he did drugs. If you look in the prologue, in one of the rooms, there is a desk with a chair, and when you climb onto the chair on the desk, you would see a crack pipe. One that kind of looks like you just put it in your mouth, and I guess you'll blow out. I don't know how crack pipes works, man. So, but really, the mother is an alcoholic, and that's why she attacks the child, and the dad, because he's overworked and kind of attacked the mother, he also did drugs while getting overworked, which is also why he will attack the child too. There is also some symbolism with the final memory of the game being a pink elephant. Really, when you see a pink elephant, that would usually mean that you're on alcohol. And I think the symbolism with the pink elephant is just a reminder that the mother is an alcoholic. Okay, now that we're going to talk about the ending of the main game. The main game ends with the child going to the door and meeting the father. A lot of people say that in the ending the child dies because when the mother pushes him, she says that she's sorry, that she didn't mean to, and that's usually heard in accidental killings. But I personally don't think that's what happened. I just think that she's just distraught at the sight that she hurt her own child. People also say that when we go and answer the door, it's the child going to heaven. I personally don't think that that's the possibility, because people say that it's the child going to heaven because the mother didn't react to the knocking on the door. I really just think that's because the mother is either like too much drunk to even get up, because the alcohol can do that to you. And also, and not only that, I also think that's because she knows exactly who's at the door, and that's the father. Because the father, it was probably the better parent other than the mother. So that's probably why she didn't react, because she knows exactly what's best for her child, and she just lets the child go.